Turkey seasons are coming in all over the country, and today I want to go over with you what I carry on any given turkey hunt. Welcome back to the hills. Throughout 20 plus seasons of hunting and 10 or so seasons of self-filming, there's been some things that I've learned that I do and don't like when it comes to turkey hunting and self-filming. Today I want to give you a little bit of my vest dump when it comes to my Appalachian style of hunting, my run and gun, and my self-film and how I make it all work. So let's start with the one piece of gear that is on me regardless. It does not matter if it's run and gun, quick hunt, and I'm just moving on a bird, or I'm planning on spending all day hiking through the Appalachian Mountains. This piece is on me no matter what, and it has the most essential, if you will, pieces of gear that I carry for any given situation. Most importantly, in this front pouch here is where I actually keep my mouth calls. Now, I don't have them in there right now. They're in the fridge. I'm a firm believer of, putting my calls into the fridge to preserve the lifespan of them. I'm not saying that's the right or wrong way to do it, but that's what I do. Over here, I have my V99 battery that we'll get into momentarily on why I carry this battery. In the bottom pouch, I carry USB-C cables, 2 of them, and again, we'll get to that here in a moment. And that's also the permanent home of my headlamp. And then obviously, I've got my binos in the bino compartment and my rangefinder in the rangefinder compartment. Now, I will say, sometimes the rangefinder will come off, but I usually just leave it on there because I'm used to it being there, and it's not really adding any crazy extra weight that gets in the way. The only thing it does is it does get a little cumbersome with my vest. But like I said, this one piece right here, regardless of what the situation is, whether it's a run and gun situation, a quick little 30-minute, we're trying to get in on a bird and get them killed, or if it's an all-day outing, this piece of gear goes with me everywhere I go. So, moving on to my vest. This year I am using the Timber Ninja Mountain Runner. It is a new vest for 2026. Timber Ninja is a company that's actually pretty local to me here in Western North Carolina. So any chance that I get to support the local hunting industry, I'm going to. The thing that I truly like about this vest is it is a modular vest. I like the ability to make it what I want it to be because the dynamic in which that I hunt in becomes very variable. And I like to make things change as I see weaknesses or strengths in the system. Now, I do have some traditional vests. I have 3 traditional vests that are set up the way that they're set up, and they're great vests, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I do like a modular system better. So let's get into it. First, Timber Ninja will send you these 2 pouches with the vest when they send it out to you. They are pretty self-explanatory. I've got a box call inside my box call pouch, which all my calls are from Appalachian Custom Calls. That is who sponsors the channel. So I've got their box call in my box call pocket. And in my pot call pocket, I have 2 pot calls, both of which are slate. I just have a bigger one and a smaller one, and they just give me a more loud and dynamic sound and a less loud, more tree talk, soft yelping, early morning type call. These calls will change throughout the season, not for anything in particular other than just the mood that I'm in and what I feel like running at any given time in the season, whether I want to switch it up to a slate glass or a slate aluminum or whatever I end up wanting to do, glass, aluminum, I'll switch these calls up, but I will typically always carry 2 pot calls with me on any given hunt. Moving on, This pouch does not come with the turkey vest. It is just a simple MOLLE pouch that I bought off of Amazon for like 20 bucks, and it does everything that I need it to do. I am really big on having everything in a zippered pocket. I don't like to leave things to Velcro or gravity. The box call pouch is the only exception. It does have a pretty nice elastic retention system on it that I do trust fairly well with the box call. But for everything else, I like to keep things in zippers. So on this pot call pouch, you actually have on the back side here, you have striker holders, and I'm just not really a fan of leaving anything out in gravity on elastic. That's a good way for, especially in these thick Appalachian Mountains, that's a good way to catch things and lose things and make yourself say some fairly nasty words. So I like to have everything in a zippered pocket. So in this front pocket, and I don't like Velcro, so I'm probably going to end up cutting those off. But in this front pocket, I keep a few different things. I have my pot call conditioner, which it has a glass conditioner, it has Brillo, it has everything you need to keep your calls conditioned, and it's got chalk inside the tube here, so it's basically, doesn't matter if I have glass pot calls or not, this is going with me everywhere I go when it comes to being a vest tool. I also keep in here a crow call. And if I carry any other sort of locators like a peacock or an owl hooter, I would keep that in this front pouch as well. I typically only need a crow call. I use my natural voice for owl vocalizations. And then during the day, I'll use the crow call if I need to locate where that gobbler is. In here, I also keep 3 separate strikers. This one I keep in there, honestly, just because I think it looks cool. There's really not a reason I keep it in there. I don't run it often, but I do keep these 2 strikers in to give me different tones and sounds out of my pot calls. So even if you only run 1 pot call, I highly recommend keeping multiple strikers, 2 at the very least, inside of your turkey vest. So that's everything I've got running in this front pouch now. Those are they go with me regardless of the hunt. Now the actual, what they are will change, but the amount does not change. Now things can and will be added throughout the season as I find it necessary, but that is the bare essentials basically. So moving on to the back pouch, and I leave these in the back pouch because A, they're a little bit more fragile, and B, I want to be able to keep up with them a little bit better, so I keep them closer to my body. And that is my C camera. This is the Sony ZV-1F, and I use it for basically a POV shot, looking back at me and the gun if I have time to set it up. And that's why it lives in the pocket, not in my hand or anything of that nature. And in there also is the little mini tripod for it. And as long as I have time, I pull it out of the pocket. I set it up by simply screwing it in. And I have now my 3rd angle that I can set up off of that camera. I also keep in this pouch a little phone mount that I will explain what it is for here in a little while, but it lives in what I consider my camera pouch. Moving up the vest, on my left shoulder, because I'm right-handed, on my left shoulder is where my DJI Osmo Action 5 lives. It lives on a cheap little Amazon GoPro mount, little Velcro GoPro mount, so I'm not really worried about getting it beat up or banged up. And this is it stays on this shoulder round the clock during turkey season. This is where it lives, and it is my 2nd angle. So if for whatever reason I miss something on my main camera, or I don't have time to get to my main camera, or if I move, the turkey's gonna bust me, I have this wide angle shot. It's not obviously going to be great for long distance, but it is also a pretty good perspective of a over the shoulder or over the barrel type camera angle. So If I were to only run 2 cameras, it would be the main camera and this camera, which is why it lives here. And the main camera, which we'll get to in a minute, lives in my hand. And this one lives in a pouch, because if I can't get to it, it's perfectly fine. I've still got this camera and my main camera running. So moving to the back of my vest, in this front meshy style pouch, I keep an extra Leafy top, and it is not for me. It is for my main camera, which again, like I said, we'll get to my main camera here in just a moment, but it lives in here. And if I have time, I will get it pulled out, and I use it to basically brush in my tripod slash camera. I used to carry a little piece of burlap and basically fish my lens through a hole that I had cut out in the burlap, but I discovered that I'm less likely to use that because it irritates me trying to set that up and get my actual setup done, whereas I can just basically TP this over the tripod, send it basically like the tripod is wearing it like a human would, and then take the arms of the Leafy top and tie it up around my camera if and when I have time to completely brush in or camouflage my tripod. Now, it stays on the back in a pouch because this is kind of last priority. If my setup is good enough, I really shouldn't need to brush in my camera, but sometimes, you know, you kind of have to set up where you set up, and it comes in handy to keep it. Weighs next to nothing, so it just lives in my vest. Moving on, I have this little top pouch right here, and in it lives another backup battery. This battery is specifically for my GoPro, and like I said, we'll get to the batteries and cameras here in just a minute, but it lives in there with its own charging cable for my DJI Action 5. Moving on to the largest pouch on the back, inside of there is where my water bladder lives. I prefer not to use water bottles anymore, simply because the ones that you buy from the store tend to get that crinkly noise to them, and I can't stand it. Or if you go out and you buy, you know, like a Nalgene, which are great bottles, I don't like the pockets that they live in. I don't like them moving around, and I don't like the slosh that they get inside of the bottle once you drink some of it. So I carry a Camelback, that way I can keep all the air out of it, keep all that slosh factor down, and I don't have that crinkle effect of like a gas station water bottle or anything of that nature. But like I said, Camelback lives in there. I run the hose up to my right shoulder. The only reason I run it to the right shoulder is because I run that camera on the left. It can get in the way, so as I'm setting up on the turkey, I have to make sure that my buttstock is not rolling on it and giving me some sort of funky angle as I'm looking down the barrel. And then the last thing that is in my vest, no matter what, is the most important thing, and that is dude wipes or toilet paper or something of that nature. There's nothing worse than nature calling and you not being prepared for it, and then the entire hunt gets ruined because you are uncomfortable for the rest of the day. So that's everything that lives inside of my vest at all times. Like I said, those things do not come out regardless. Now, the vest does not necessarily live on my body at all times during a turkey hunt, but the items inside the vest will live there from the start of turkey season until the end. And if I'm in a situation where I'm taking a vest, those are the items that are going with me no matter what. Moving on to the main camera. The main camera that we're running this year is the Sony FX30. I'm choosing it over the FX3 simply because I do like the crop factor of that ASPC sensor. I do like that it is a bit lighter, the lenses are lighter, and I honestly prefer the sharpness of the FX30 over the FX3. But that's all off of my preference. You guys can all have your own opinions on that. This is just what I like to run. The tripod that I'm running that I'm most excited about is a cheap little Amazon tripod that I found. The name of it is Kayer, C-A-Y-E-R, and it's the CH35 model. And I enjoy it because I don't like to carry around a big massive tripod. I used to keep mini portable tripods that I would run, but they would only extend to 20 inches. And in situations where I was in a blind or something of that nature, I had to completely switch up my system. Whereas this one will extend all the way to, I believe, 50 inches, which is plenty for what I need. Now, I will admit these mini portable tripods are not as stable. You will get shake. But for what we're doing in this run and gun turkey hunting style, I don't mind the shake. I just want something that's easy to carry. The main camera lives in my hand. I don't ever pack it away. It stays right there. It gets all my B-roll as I'm hiking. It gets all the selfie shots as I'm hiking. So I need the tripod to be easy to carry, and it also needs to serve more of a purpose than just to be a tripod. So I can basically brace the tripod into my body and create like a steady rig, if you will. Like I said, I can use it as a selfie stick. Anything that I need is all out of this cheap little tripod. So if you're looking for a simple, cheap tripod, I would recommend this tripod. Now, talking about cameras and camera accessories, let's get into why I am running everything the way I am. So first and foremost, the reason that I am running a V-mount battery. I do not like the thought of having to physically change batteries inside of cameras, especially in the heat of the moment. There is nothing worse than a turkey making his move in and you're within 5 or 10 steps of being able to kill the turkey, and you look over and your camera is telling you that the battery died. That is just an absolute nightmare to me. I also don't like having to keep up with multiple things. As you can tell so far, I've already got way too many things that I have to keep up with while I'm in the woods. I don't need to be keeping 6 batteries in my setup that I could potentially lose. So I keep one 99 V-mount battery. I've got 2. I keep one at the truck and then one on my person, and this will last me all day, no problem. Charging both my main camera and that C angle camera. I've got ports here on top where I can run both of those USB-C cables that I showed you in my Bino harness, and I have the ability to keep both of my batteries charging simultaneously while I am sat down on a bird. The other great aspect of why I keep things the way that I do and why I run my Bino rig the way that I do is because as this is sitting in this pouch, if I am on the move and I notice that this camera needs to be charged, I can unzip this half of the pouch, plug in the USB-C cable, and have it charging as I'm walking and moving around. Now that does leave a little bit of a hang-up factor as far as limbs, but like I said, it's in my hand, so I'm a little bit more aware of where everything is at. That is why we run this system. It is a little bit bulkier and kind of a little bit more robust of a package, but it does simplify things, and I don't have to carry multiple batteries for multiple cameras. Same goes for the battery pack for the DJI Osmo Action 5. This lives in that back pocket, which is very easy for me to reach back and undo the zipper. I can do it one-handed, and I can pull this battery out, hook this up, run it whichever way I need to keep it the most out of my way, and I've got a battery that will last all day inside of that Action 5 right there on my back. So instead of carrying around 12 to 18 separate batteries for these cameras, I've got 2 to run all 3 of my cameras, and it will last all day. Another item that I carry that makes life really easy is this little phone mount. And what I will do is, if I have the time, this phone mount gets mounted on my top handle, and a phone goes in there, and I can use Sony's monitor app and have a larger monitor to be able to see without having to turn my entire head to look at this little LCD screen. I can now have it at whatever angle I need it at and be able to use a phone as a monitor, which we'll get to here in just a moment. This isn't something that I have the luxury of setting up every single time I set up on a bird, because it is a little bit time consuming. I have to get Bluetooth up and running. There's fiddle factor to it. So this is something where I've roosted a bird the night before and I know I have the ability to set up on them. I'll go ahead and set this up and make my life easier for me as far as the filming is concerned. But like I said, it's just a nice little touch. Weighs next to nothing. It's relatively small to pack around. I throw it in that front pouch on my vest. Most of the time I forget it's even there until I'm like, oh, I can use that. And we keep moving. Which brings me to my next item that goes with me anytime I turkey hunt, and everybody has to have them, and that's my pants. My pants are very important, not in the sense of what they are as far as material or stretchiness or comfort, but in the way that the pockets are set up. So on these Old Tom pants, you'll notice that they have thigh pockets on the front of the thigh. I don't know why the entire hunting industry hasn't moved to that. I guess certain people don't like it, but it is my favorite thing that has ever come about. I started using them when I got into saddle hunting quite a few years ago, and I haven't looked back because it just makes my life much more convenient. It's more comfortable to me. I don't end up getting that seam rash on the side of my thigh as I'm hiking throughout the day, and everything that I need is in front of me. So when I'm sitting on my butt on a turkey, I still have access to the important things in my pockets. So what are those important things? In my front right thigh pocket, I have an extra old phone. This is like an iPhone 8 or 10 or something like that, and the only thing that this phone is used for is to be the monitor for my camera that I was just talking about, and I also use it as the monitor for my drone, which we can talk about in another video at a later time. But that lives, there's a specific phone pouch, phone pocket in this front thigh pocket on my right side, and that phone lives there. Now that is not a non-negotiable. Sometimes that will come out of my pocket. I can use my normal phone. I just prefer to have a actual dedicated phone that's not receiving text messages, phone calls, so on and so forth. This has no cell service on it, so it's quite literally just a monitor. But if I do know that I'm going to be going miles and miles and miles, and this is basically just going to be living in there for no reason, collecting sweat, it will come out and stay in the truck with my camera gear. On this left thigh pocket, now remember I said earlier I like everything under zipper. That's the only reason that these two items live in my pants, because I don't have another zippered pocket on the inside of my vest. It's mesh pockets, and I don't like to leave things up to chance. But in this zippered pocket is where I carry my gloves and my face mask. And they obviously stay in there simply because that is the zippered pocket they stay in. And I'll be wearing those pants regardless if I have my vest on or not. So it is a little bit more convenient to have them in my pants than in my vest. And I will honestly probably stay that way even if I change up my vest in the seasons to come. And then last but not least, and this is just a weird little thing that I wanted to bring to you guys because it's something that dawned on me a few years ago and I haven't looked back. And that is a soft crown cap. I used to be a really big carry a turkey wing in the back of my vest type of guy. That way I could make some fly down noises and all of those things that you might want to do on an early morning roost hunt. But then I started getting questions from game wardens about where was this bird taken, and it became a bit of a headache. And honestly, carrying around a turkey wing can become annoying. Having to reach back and grab it, having to worry about it getting crushed whenever you're crawling through some mountain laurel, whatever it may be. Whereas this hat that lives on my head, it's right there. I don't have to worry about the legal litigations of having turkey parts on my person. It's just a hat, so nobody can really get offended about it. And it doesn't, now I will admit, it does not make the best fly down noises, but it makes something. And honestly, when I'm making fly down noises, I'm not looking for the best. I'm looking for something. I'm trying to get that bird turned around on the limb. I'm trying to get his attention to fly down to me. I'm trying to get his attention off the hens that I just watched fly down, whatever it is. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for a little bit of a distraction. So the hat works fine and does everything I need to do, but I just thought that was one little piece of information I could pass on to you guys. And if you haven't thought about it, maybe it'll help you out as far as the things that you pack. Now, is my system super light? Absolutely not. This is not like a super light, super run and gun type system, but this is what I carry as a self-filmer. I have 3 different cameras, the batteries to run them, all the essentials I need to actually turkey hunt, and then extras that just make my life easy. I'm not telling you that this is the best way to do it. I'm not telling you this is the only way to do it, and I'm not even telling you this is the right way to do it. I just wanted to show you guys the gear that I run as a self-filmed turkey hunter, and maybe give some of you guys out there some ideas of what you can do with the gear that you already have in your possession. If you want to know what shotgun I'm running this year, I will link the video up here in the corner. I did a whole review on this year's shotgun. The only thing I didn't mention is my sling on that gun, which is the Hella Dry sling. It's an awesome sling for what I do. It stays out of the way and I can take it off when I set up on the bird. I'll let you guys go find your own reviews here on YouTube about that sling, or if you want, I can talk about it in a future video. Just let me know in the comments down below. Hope you took something good away from the video. If you did, please leave me a like, subscribe to the channel. Lets me know that the message is getting out there. And until next time, see you on the hill.